Hi, everyone. Welcome to Goddess Garden Book Chats, Books with Friends. Books with Friends. It's an extension of my page where I do book reviews. But I have such an extensive library, I wanted to share more and I wanted to enjoy more with my book club friends, my audience, people who share a love of the written word and audiobooks because almost everything I review, everything that I talk about is an audiobook. There will be times when we delve into a series, especially here on Patreon, that has no audio content. But trust me, this is why Alexa exists. This is how I use my tech. I use my tech to create the environment that makes me happy. And hopefully, it brings kind of a sense of joy and enjoyment to the people who are watching along. So, we're going to enjoy today Book One, Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman. It's harder to say than I thought. Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman. That's a mouthful. But we're going to start at chapter one. So I want you to get lined up, do the side by side, synchronize past the intro and all that other stuff to chapter one. It's important we link up. Hopefully, you've got your copy because even though you're going to hear a lot of the book, this is for my content for me to comment on. It's not going to come through in a way that allows you to enjoy the book without purchasing the book. These are safeguards put in place by the book writer gods. So this is not like my movie page where we can enjoy content and then break in and do scene by scene breakdowns of what we're enjoying. When we enjoy a movie, that content is a lot clearer. But here, this is the best way to do it so that we can continue to do it and we can get through whole series. Now, we're only going to do chapters 1 through 3 here. I'm going to read the synopsis to you because I think everyone benefits from a good synopsis. So, first, let me set up my own side by side so I can do that because I won't be able to do that if I don't set it up. So, I'm going to go here and do this. Okay, so let's share a little bit about this fantastic book. I've had this in my library. I believe it's about an 8 book series, maybe 9. I've made it through 3. I'm going to embark on 4, but we're starting at book 1 as I always do. I have another book up with an extensive series. It will be up to us as a group of listeners when I hear from you if you want me to do the entire book or if you're good with this intro into this fantastic world and you're ready to go ahead and go on your own. I will always do a wrap up for all of the books that I introduce, and I'm always going to go on through the series, but it will only be the first 3 chapters unless I get that kind of feedback and I hear from you that this is what you want. So let's talk a little bit about what this is. It starts out in the synopsis because that's what we're reading from. The apocalypse will be televised. You know what's worse than breaking up with your girlfriend? Being stuck with her prize winning show cat. And you know what's worse than that? An alien invasion, the destruction of all man made structures on Earth, and the systemic exploitation of all the survivors for a sadistic intergalactic game show. That's pretty bad. Now, this is what's known as a lit RPG book. This is my first introduction into this world. I've since bought other books, but thank you, Matt Dinniman. I did not know. And the thing about this is you're reading about a, a work of fiction that is designed like a game. They are playing in this book a game. There are rules they have to follow. There are things that have to be checked off for you to elevate to the next level. So it's a literary um, I think I forget what RPG means. I'm going to have that information for you. I'll put it in the comments because I don't have it here with me. I'm remiss. I'm sorry. I don't do script notes for books. So, you know what a lit RPG is, or you can look it up while we're going through this because I'm going to put it in the comments. But let's get started because I want you to know this is not only a fantastic journey, it is both exciting, it's comedic, and it's dark. Because understand what you're dealing with is an apocalypse. And you can choose to find humor in an apocalypse. Sure, you can find humor in anything. But sometimes that humor is hard won and heartfelt. So, as I always do, there's going to be music played along with the audio, and you're going to hear me and my comments and my interjections because that's why we're here. We're here to engage and have a good time. Hopefully, you've got your copy ready, or hopefully, you're at chapter 1 because we're about to get started because I'm about to press the go button. Are you ready?
Chapter 1. The transformation occurred at approximately 2:23 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. As far as I could tell, pretty much anyone who was indoors when it happened was instantly killed. If you had any sort of roof over you,
Excellent narration,
that
by the way.
included people in cars, airplanes, subways, even tents and cardboard boxes. Oh, probably umbrellas too. No, I'm not so sure about that one. I'm not gonna lie, you guys who were inside, probably warm and asleep and dreaming about some random bullshit. I'm jealous. You're the lucky ones. You were just gone, splattered into dust during the transformation.
You were the lucky
It was a
ones.
Tuesday, and the calendar had just ticked over to January 3rd. A terrible winter storm had descended on North America, and half the country was buried in snow and ice.
We can
In Seattle,
remember,
we didn't have too much
like
snow,
anyone can,
but
that
it was well below zero.
those
It was
last
unusually
moments,
cold.
you have a clear
I'm
picture
sure
of
in other
what
parts of the
happened.
world where it was warmer and not in the middle of the night, many more people survived. Many more. I also bet most of them were probably wearing more clothes than I was at the time of the incident. And those assholes were smart enough not to go to the night. Me? I didn't have a choice. Like I said, it was below freezing. I was outside. I was wearing boxers, a leather jacket, and a pair of pink Croc sandals that barely fit me. I was also holding a crying, scratching, squirming, and spitting cat named Princess Donut, the Queen Anne chunk.
As a
It
cat
was a
lover,
tortoise-shell Persian cat worth more than I made in a year.
that helps
My
sell this, by
ex-girlfriend
the
called
way.
her Princess Donut for short. No, I just stuck with Donut. So let me back up about 10 minutes. I won't bore you with too much backstory, but some of these details may be important.
The world building
My
here
name is
is
Carl.
excellent,
I
by the
am
way.
27 years old. After I switched to the U.S. Coast Guard, I ended up working as a Marine tech, fixing electrical systems for rich assholes and their party boats. I, up until a few days before this started, lived with my girlfriend in our apartment in Seattle. Her name was Beatrice. B. She went to the Bahamas for a New Year's thing with a bunch of friends. She didn't tell me her ex-boyfriend went along with her on the trip. I figured
Information he
quick
could have
when I
used.
saw a picture of her sitting on his lap on Instagram. I don't like drama, and I don't deal well with it. Whether she was actually cheating on me or not, it didn't matter so much. She'd lie. So I called her up, and I told her we were done. I promised I'd have all her stuff ready for her to go when she got back. No drama, no fuss. But we were done.
We're done.
She'd asked
No
her parents
drama,
to
no
come get the cat,
fuss.
but
I
they
saw the
were already
pictures on
inside the cat's
Instagram.
cage. Nobody was getting
You gotta go, boo.
passes with this one. So I promised
know what
I'd
you
look
think
after her
this
until she
is.
got back. So let me tell you about Donut the cat. Like I said, she's one of those fluffy, flat-faced cats that look like they need to be sitting on the lap of a pond boy. Me and I shared a two-bedroom apartment.
Sounds
One of those
adorable.
rooms was dedicated to the cat, if that tells you anything. More specifically,
Tells you a
the
lot.
room was dedicated to Donut's best of show ribbons, best of breed ribbons, and countless
Ooh.
trophies and framed photographs.
Show kitty.
Looking all fuzzy and pissed off from being in the jealous state behind her. They probably
I
had
know that
50
look.
photographs. She won a mess of ribbons and trophies and photographs pretty much every time Beatrice took Donut to an event. And we took that damn cat to a show almost every weekend. Her whole family was into raising and showing Persian cats. Me, I didn't really know much about that whole cat show. I didn't want to get too involved. Like I said, I don't do drama.
I
Now,
don't
let me
do
tell you
drama.
something about cat people. More
I can
specifically,
relate.
cat show people. Actually, never mind. Fuck those guys. All that's important is being done
Right.
for a part
Fuck
of this
those
whole
guys.
world I didn't want anything to do with. I never considered myself a big fan of cats, but if we're being truthful here, I liked Donut. That cat did not give two shits about anybody or anything,
Oh,
and I can respect that.
I
And
can
Donut wanted to
respect
sit
it.
on my lap while I was blasting away on the PlayStation, and then she sat on my damn lap. If I tried to pick her up, she hissed and scratched and jumped right back up there. And then she looked at me with a squished face that said,
I love
"What are you
you.
gonna do
Get
about it?"
away from me.
I've been tempted more than once to throttle the thing, but I'm not an asshole. Plus, I can respect the
Right.
little monster's tenacity. Some of my buddies would give me crap about it. Me spending all this time with a puffy cat that was probably worth more than I would make in a year. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed
It's a
having
cat.
a long
It's
fuzz sitting in
cool.
my lap.
Don't hate on the
Knowing
kitty.
Beatrice's ironclad,
All
this is
this
not
kitty
enforceable
hate.
rules. There's no smoking in the apartment. So after our fight and breakup, I made a point of smoking as much as I could. I know,
Childish.
I'm sure. It was
Childish.
freezing outside. Donut didn't seem to like the smoke too much. The smell from her hair. So as a compromise, I cracked the window and smoked.
Oh,
So,
kind of
when
me.
I woke up at about 2 a.m., having been startled awake by a dream, I decided I needed a smoke. I pulled out my pack, cracked the window, and I lit a cigarette. Donut, who had been sleeping right next to me on the bed, decided at that very moment that she wanted to go
Excuse
outside
me.
and explore. She jumped up on my shoulder and she leaped out the second-story window onto the tree outside my apartment. Just like that. I had that window open dozens of times over the past year, and she'd never even given the window a second glance. But tonight, on the coldest night of the year, the furry asshole decided to loosely park her way out of the apartment. She stamped down the tree, sniffed at the
Not
sidewalk
an
a few times,
asshole.
and then promptly realized it was
Donut
cold
is
as fuck.
not an
I
asshole.
would venture over as quickly as I could. Rushed back up the tree and stared at me over the 5 feet from the window to the branch. The adventure all drained out of her. Donut decided not to risk jumping back inside. So instead, she decided to start howling at the top of her lungs. I spent the next several minutes cursing at the cat, trying to coax her back inside. I opened the window all the way, sending gales of ice-cold air in the previously crispy apartment.
Oh,
The fuzzy
pet
black and
ownership.
beige and white cat just sat there,
Not for
bitching
the
and
faint of
howling so
heart.
much I feared one of my neighbors might wake up and shoot her. I left my boots in the dryer all the way to the building's basement. I didn't know where the hell my running shoes were, so in a momentary decision I would quickly come to regret. I squeezed my feet into a pair of my ex-girlfriend's Crocs, pulled a heavy rubber jacket on, and rushed outside to grab the cat. Part of me kept saying, "Screw it, it's not your cat. Let the fucker freeze."
Right.
But like I said,
Right.
I'm not that much of
Not
an
your
asshole.
cat.
As much as Beatrice was nervous, she loved that damn cat. And poor, stupid Donut wouldn't stand a chance out here in the cold. Not for long. Plus, again, the cat was right there, howling like someone was eating her children in front of her. I rushed down the stairs and I jumped outside, rushing into the tree that sat between the sidewalk and the building. I immediately regretted not taking the time to put proper clothes on. The cold, windy air sunk its claws into my legs and feet.
Ooh.
Donut was right there, between that tree just out of reach, looking between me and the open window of the apartment. He continued to howl. The light popped on in the apartment on the first floor. I groaned. "Mrs. Parsons. Don't be, I'd like to file complaints to Mrs. Parsons."
This is
"Donut,"
Parsons.
I said. "Come on, you little shit." I held out my arms. The cat could jump into my arms. It was something I trained her to do. I could shake a bag of cat treats and she'd jump right up there. I could make a clicking sound and she'd sometimes jump on my shoulder.
But as soon as they are done with
We're
whatever
going
you
first
called
floor
them
apartment
over for,
complex.
they are gone.
What in God's name is going on out there?
Mrs. Parsons called, sticking her head out the window. The old woman had her head wrapped in some sort of towel, making her look like a swan. Her beady eyes focused on me.
Carl, is that you?
"Yes, Mrs. Parsons," I said. "Sorry, the cat got out. We're trying to get her in before she freezes to death."
It looks like you're the one who's going to freeze.
Slam! Mrs. Parsons never finished the sentence. It happened so fast. The building slammed down to the ground. I watched it happen. The 7-story apartment building was there one moment, and then it was gone. But it hadn't disappeared. I was looking right at Mrs. Parsons when it went down. It was like the building was a massive tin can that had been crushed by a giant cosmic boot. I saw it, and I heard it. Wind rushed at me, and it was instantly dark outside. The street lamp just to my left was gone. The buildings all around me were gone. The cars on the street were gone too. Everything was gone except the trees and the bicycles and the bike racks and Marjorie Williams's moped that was still booted by parking enforcement. I looked around. The freezing weather momentarily forgot me. In the dark, overcast night, I could barely see anything. In the distance, and I'd never before been able to see any sort of distance, the fire burned. There was utter, complete silence. The hill was spinning in circles. A couple random things were made, like the black wreck. Stop sign was there, and the street sign was there. It didn't make sense. Where the cars were parked on the road, car-shaped indentations in the dirt appeared, as if they'd been pulled down in the center of the earth, and reached directly into the asphalt.
It's right before his
still
eyes.
outstretched arms. I looked at the still howling cat, not knowing what to do or to say. What the hell?
Wow.
I said again. All that remained of my building was a rectangle of turns, dirt, and rocks. And then I saw it, right near my feet. It was Mrs. Parsons' head.
Oh,
In the dark, it was hard to discern, but I immediately knew what it was.
oh,
It hit me at that moment. The sudden shock of the buildings was one thing, but there were people in those buildings. It was almost everybody in the
Not
damn
anymore.
city. No, even most of the homeless people were in shelters. There'd been a whole thing on the news, rounding everybody up because of the extreme cold. It was 2 in the damn morning on Monday night. Everyone would be in bed. And that meant everyone was dead. I kept spinning in circles like an idiot, not knowing what to do. I felt sick to my stomach. Donut started to squirm at me, decided I was useless. He clawed at me, but I wouldn't let the cat go.
go.
Then came the voice. A male,
We're going to talk
robotic
about
voice.
this
It spoke
at
in
the
my
end of
mind.
chapter 1.
The voice was like a physical thing, a spike in my brain scratching me. It wasn't speaking English, but I understood the words. As the person spoke, the words also appeared floating in front of me. Surviving humans, take note. What? I said out loud. What's that? Who's there? I kicked at the floating words with my foot, and the 2 small croc went
Floating
flying.
words.
I hopped over and quickly shoved my foot back in. The words moved with me, floating just a few feet in front of my face. Even the letters weren't in
We're
English.
going to talk
I
about
crawled down, not across the screen. But I knew them, understood them like I'd been reading the language my entire life. Per Syndicate Rules, subsection 543 of the Precious Elemental Reserves Code, having failed to file a proper appeal for the mineral and elemental rights within 50 solars of first contact, your planet has been successfully seized and is currently being mined of all requested elemental deposits by the assigned planetary region.
that. Oh, my.
Every
Oh, they
material
asked.
of your world has been crushed, and all raw minerals, organic and inanimate, are in the process of being mined for requested elements. Where the Mined Material Reclamation Act allowed the subsection 35 of the Indigenous Planetary Species Protection Act, any surviving humans will be given the opportunity to reclaim their rights matter. The Borans Corporation, out of the agency in the solar system, is allowed to choose the name of its regulation, and they have chosen option 3.
Corporate.
Also,
Corporate.
the 18-level Corporate Dungeon. The Borans Corporation retains
Can't get away from it as a galaxy.
and otherwise control all aspects of the World Dungeon, and will remain in control as long as they adhere to syndicate regulations regarding world resource reclamation. Upon successful completion of level 18 of the World Dungeon, Regency of this planet will revert to the successor. Syndicate Mutual Observer AI itself has been created and established this planet to supervise the creation of the World Dungeon and to ensure all rules and regulations are properly followed. Please pay careful attention to the following information as it will not be repeated.
It will
Under
not
the
be.
Indigenous Planetary Species Protection Act, all remaining materials, estimated to 99.999999% of the sifted matter, is currently being repurposed for the subterranean World's Dungeon. The first level of this dungeon will open approximately 18 seconds after the end of this announcement. The first level entrances will be open for exactly 1 human hour and 1 hour only. Once the entrances are closed, you may no longer enter. If you enter, you may not leave until you have either completed all 18 levels of the World Dungeon, or if you meet certain other requirements. If you choose not to enter the World's Dungeon, you will have to sustain yourself upon the surface of your planet, and this may be the last communication you receive during your lifetime. All previously processed matter and elements are forfeit. However, you are free to mine and utilize any remaining and naturally occurring resources for your own benefit. The Borans Corporation wishes you luck and thanks you for the opportunity. For those who wish to exercise their right of resource reclamation,
Corporate.
please take note.
There will be 150,000 level 1 entrances added to the world. These entrances will be marked and easy to spot. If you so choose to enter the first level of the dungeon, you will have 5 rotations of your planet to find the next level down. There will be 75,000 entrances to level 2.
You got 4 minutes left in the chapter.
To level 3, 18,750 to level 4, 9,375 entrances to level 5, and 4,688 entrances to level 6. The number of available entrances to the next lower level will continue to decrease by half, rounding up until the 18th level, which will only have 2 entrances and a safe exit. Dwellers who choose to enter the real dungeon must find a staircase and descend to the next level down before the allotted time is up for that level. Once the time is passed, the level will be reclaimed and all remaining matter in the level, will be forfeit. Generated loot and other matter that is not gathered and claimed may be placed in the syndicate market. Each lower level will have a longer period of reclamation. Additional rules may apply once any crawlers descend to the 10th floor. These rules will be explained when and if any crawlers reach this level. If you so choose to enter the world's dungeon, it is highly recommended you immediately find and utilize a tutorial guide. Multiple tutorial guides will be seen around the dungeon on levels 1 through 3. If you have any additional questions or wish to file an appeal, such requests must be submitted in writing directly to the closest assistant office. Thank you for being a part of this event. Have a great day.
Because you have no choice.
Brain could barely parse any of what the voice had said. So I remembered everything that had just happened. I
Did
could no
you
longer
catch
feel my
all
lips.
those rolls?
I had been outside much too long, and I was in serious danger of freezing to death. Which I'm told was the cold. I had to get inside, and I had to do it now. But there was no inside anymore. There weren't even any cars. I eyed the fire that continued to rage.
You get Nathan.
Get over there.
Stay here if you want to.
I turned.
You gonna fend for yourself in ways you never thought you could.
A light breeze before the buildings all disappeared.
Or you can go over here and get with this
guy.
game.
Stick of the ocean. Donut twisted in my arms, scratching at me, trying to get free. She jumped onto my shoulder, but my jacket protected me. I clutched the cat tighter. Was this a dream? Had I accidentally been dosed with some sort of hallucinogen?
No.
World dungeon? What the actual hell? What did that even mean? My mind continued to race. I immediately thought of Pathfinder, Dungeons and Dragons, and other games I hadn't played since I was on active duty. I couldn't see a single damn person. I was surrounded by only the sound of wind. A horn, like a trumpet, sounded, blasting through the night air. I stopped dead, looking around.
1 minute left.
No. It's a dungeon here. I thought, this is happening. Holy shit, this is really happening. Less than 100 feet to my left, right in the middle of what had once been a thrift store, a spotlight burst into the air. I saw an additional spotlight appear about a mile away. I turned and saw a few more moving throughout the city. Even from this distance, I could feel the warmth radiating from the brightly lit hole in the night. I didn't think about it. My head still swam with all the information that had been thrown at me. My thoughts barely fit on my feet. The distant fire was further away than I thought. I had seen it firsthand after 30 days. So I turned toward the light, and I ran.
Okay, so we're going to stop here, and we're going to talk about chapter 1, because there's a lot to cover. If you have your own copy, you've clearly heard that within the short span of this man having to go through a breakup because his girlfriend got it with her ex on vacation, it started having a ball. So he's a no drama guy. He said that a couple of times. I don't like the drama. But he's also taking care of her cat while she was on vacation with her friends. Her show cat, because I guess they shared a place, is at home. Now, we all know that animals can sense things a lot faster than we people who are not necessarily in tune with all the elements around us and how they shift and change. Cats are on it. So he decides, for some strange reason, he wakes up 2 a.m, goes to have a cigarette, or he says a smoke. I don't know what he smoked, but he goes to have a smoke. The cat shoots out on the balcony in the freezing cold. So that in and of itself is very telling, but he didn't tap into it. He's half asleep. Without thinking, in this cold, he doesn't bother to grab clothes, put on shoes, and go get the cat. No, no, no. He does not do that. What he does is grab just any old pair of shoes and any old jacket and go outside, try and get what he calls this asshole out of a tree. Who's the asshole outside freezing? So the neighbor comes, nosy neighbor, all up in his business. You out here screaming at this damn cat at 2 o'clock in the morning. You need to get your, and before she's done, around you, the world is being obliterated. Not a little, not like drop after drop after drop after drop, over there, over there. All of a sudden, everything goes from it's all good, I'm having a conversation, yet one I don't want to be in, with the neighbor, and her head is now on the ground by my feet. Then the floating words. Now, I don't know if you're a fan of the show Fringe. Series is not on anymore. I was a huge Fringe fan. But in every episode, they would have these floating words. No matter what the scene was, it told you either where you were at, what building you were in, whatever context you needed. For him, he's getting those kinds of floating words that are instructing him. You have a very finite amount of time to make a very huge, huge decision. You need to stay here, fend for yourself with what resources we leave behind, but we take 99.999999% of the resources. So we ain't leaving you much. Or you can get on this spaceship and go into this dungeon environment as judged by some corporate entity that has determined that those of you that make it and find yourselves worthy making it through levels of this dungeon can find yourself back here on your lovely little planet. What's not being said if you don't make it level by level? What's not being said about what accommodations await me should I choose to do this? Because you don't know what you're walking into, even though what you're hearing is a language you understand and speak. You don't know where this is coming from. You don't understand anything. And you have, from the time the world has disintegrated, a screaming crazy cat that does not want to be held by you, never did. But you got to grab this cat and you've got to make your way onto a spaceship in 1 hour. So that's chapter 1. Everybody up to speed? We all up to speed. We are going to move through chapter 2. As I stated in the credits, we're going to do the first 3 chapters. So we're going to start on chapter 3 now. Let's get synchronized, people. And let's do this.
Part 1, Chapter 2, Dungeon Floor 1. Time to level collapse, 5 days. An ornate staircase led down into the vault. Each step appeared to be made of wrought iron, and the whole thing was wide enough to accommodate 20 people walking side by side. Glowing warmth radiated from the hole. I took a step, falling down a little further than I anticipated. My footfalls echoed into the brightness. This was a city of almost 1 million people, and I was the only one here.
Wow.
Noah, who had stopped fighting, clutched onto my shoulder and started
That is a
growling as we
powerful
descended
statement.
toward the bright light. Welcome, glorious warmth beckoned me deeper. My legs and feet, which I hadn't been able to feel, were now starting to burn. I hadn't been out in the cold long enough to sustain any real damage, but I was frostbitten to hell. The stairs seemed to go on forever.
Ow.
The iron steps were carved in an odd pattern depicting what could have been fish, or maybe demons. The almost Asian-looking carvings gave me an uneasy feeling. These stairs weren't here just a few minutes ago. This whole thing was made of the building cars and people of the real. Who did this?
Made
How did they do
from
it? By the time I
the
reached the bottom of the
elements
stairs, the
taken
temperature had
from
risen
your
to a
planet
balmy 80 degrees
to
Fahrenheit.
build this
The
level.
metal stairs ended at a marble
And the
floor
level
with a
collapses
roof.
in
It stood about
15
30
days.
feet tall. Just as long. The wooden arched door was carved in the shape of a massive fish demon like the stairs. I looked up at the dark doors. What the hell is this thing? I muttered. As I stared at the door, an information box appeared up over the door. The box appeared so suddenly and unexpectedly, I stepped back. It was like I was in a game. Maybe special contact lenses that popped up information with tooltips. It even had a little X in the corner to close it out.
This is an edition of Dinniman, the dominant species of the Vorage system and the principal owners of the Mountain Corporation. Make sure you recognize these things. They will protest later.
Well, was the
Whoa.
last part supposed to be a joke? I focused on the X in the corner and mentally closed the box. What? I thought. I looked up at the carving again and I felt something.
Imagine how much
Almost like a
information
slight
he's absorbing
tingling in my brain. The information box popped up again.
to survive.
Weird. I could control the information with my
Really
mind.
test what you think
I
you
could
can
open the
handle.
information boxes on certain items by focusing on them. I could close the boxes by mentally clicking the X with my mind.
Interesting.
That means they're in your head. Maybe this isn't really happening. Maybe you're asleep and this is all some sort of high-tech simulation,
Okay.
like in the Matrix movies. The pain in my warming
See
up
what I
lungs
mean by the
reminded
balance
me of
between the
simulation or not,
humor
it didn't matter.
and the
Nothing
horror?
that could hurt.
It's
With my
very
free
well
hand,
done,
I pushed
Mr.
the door.
Dinniman.
It opened easily inward, revealing a long hallway lit by multiple torches. The hallway was just as wide and tall as the door, more like a tunnel for a double-lane roadway than for someone to walk through. In the distance, I could see several branches leading off the main hall. A blinking light appeared near the first branch. It seemed to be a sign of some sort, but I couldn't read it from here. Ow! I cried as Donut chomped down on my hand. I dropped the cat, and she bounded forward into the hallway. She stopped about 10 paces in, looking around with a confused, startled look on her face. I stepped toward the cat, and the door slammed behind me. The light from the entrance room cut off and was replaced with a dust-like dimness. Welcome, crawler. Welcome to the first floor. This was a new voice. It was male, sounding overly enthusiastic. Almost like a game show host.
What does it have
It
to
wasn't the
lose?
same person or speaker from the original. The words appeared floating before me and simultaneously spoken in my mind. Unlike the tooltip-like box, I wasn't able to close it out. This was more like subtitles. Days, 23 hours, and 48 minutes.
Power surge. Sorry.
I, again, swiped at the characters. They didn't go away. I closed my eyes.
Let me tell you where we
and the
are.
information disappeared. It was unsettling and gave me a slightly queasy feeling to my stomach. Donut remained in her spot several places in front of me, but the chunky cat was swiping at the air.
We're on chapter 2,
Jesus.
1756.
Holy crap.
I'm sorry,
Whatever this
53,
was,
2,
it was happening to
1,
the cat just like it was to me.
49, 48.
It's a
47.
cat. Stay
So,
with me.
Hopefully, you're in the right place.
Stay with me. But as I looked at her, I felt that same almost imperceptible. I focused more tightly, and an information box popped up over the cat.
Crawler number 4119. Princess Level 1. Race. Net. Class. Not yet assigned.
I took a step forward, painfully aware that I was wearing Crocs that didn't fit.
Right.
More text helped me.
You have been designated Crawler number 4422. You have been assigned to the Crawler name, Crawler. You are assigned to the race of human. You are currently level 1. You may choose a new race and class as soon as you descend to the 3rd floor. Your stat points have been assigned based on your current physical and mental profile. See the stat menu for more details.
Menu. I wondered how to pull a menu up. But before I could even try to figure it out, I was bowled over by a wall of text. Congratulations! You've earned your first achievement, Crazy Cat Lady. You have entered the World Dungeon accompanied by a cat. Oh, isn't that sweet? Reward? You've received the Bronze Pet Box. New achievement, Trailblazing Crazy Cat Lady. You are the first crawler to enter the World's Dungeon accompanied by a cat. You must really love that thing. You bet you're probably going to die a horrible death at any moment. Well, maybe not.
Look at the prize you just received.
This is so wild.
You've received a legendary pet box. New achievement, early adopter. You are one of the first 5,000 crawlers to enter a new world dungeon. Sucker. Reward. You've received a silver adventurer box. New achievement, empty pockets. You didn't bring any supplies. None. You know you still gotta eat, right? Reward. You've received a bronze adventurer box. New achievement. Why aren't you wearing pants? You entered the dungeon wearing no pants.
No pants.
Dude, seriously?
No pants.
Reward. You've received a gold apparel box. New achievement. Unarmed combat. So, you just waltz right into something called a world dungeon and you're not even going to bring a weapon? You're either braver than you look, or you're just an idiot. Good luck with that, man damn. Reward. You've received a bronze weapon box. New achievement, Loner. You entered the dungeon without any human companions. Didn't anyone teach you there is safety in numbers? Reward? None! You are so dead. I stared at those last words as they faded away. You are so dead. Donut was, again, swiping at the air. Menu, I said out loud. Nothing happened.
So he
Stats.
understands that he's entered into a game
How the hell was I
world
supposed to
and
look
that
at my
he's getting
information?
rules
It
of
said I
engagement on how to
received
play,
multiple
how to move, and what the rewards
loot
are.
boxes. That's sure as hell what it sounded like. Which meant I had some sort of inventory.
The
I
game
remember
is
something
aware
from
of
the
who he
initial announcement.
is.
Something about finding.
Because he didn't say his name out loud. He didn't say the
looked up
cat's
at the
name
neon
out loud when he
sign about
entered
Hunters
into the
Down the dark
spaceship
tunnel.
or the
Would that be
dungeon.
it? I started to shuffle jog down
So
the tunnel
it's
toward the blazing sun.
clearly
I passed Donut,
able
who sat
to
upon the ground, licking her paw
identify
and
you.
rubbing it against her forehead.
That wild.
After a moment, the cat seems to sigh and decide to follow. The neon sign read, "The Tutorial Guild," with an arrow pointing down a thin, dark alleyway. I shuffled to a stop. The swish of my footfalls echoed in the large, empty tunnel. I peered into the darkness. It was pitch black in there. Behind me, Donut meowed with concern. I stepped into the alley. New achievements! Fall into an obvious trap. Reward? Well, if there's a heaven and if you haven't been too much of an asshole, maybe they'll let you in. Because you are about to meet your maker.
Wow.
3 lights flipped on, blinding me. I covered my eyes and took a step back. Something mechanical hissed, and what sounded like a steam engine roared to life. I heard laughter, high-pitched and squealing. I turned and I ran. Both of my pink Crocs went flying as I turned down the main tunnel, heading away from where I'd come down the stairs. Donut yowled and rushed after me. I hazarded a look over my shoulder and saw the contraption rocket out of the alleyway, almost crash into the far wall, and then slowly start to back up and turn, facing me. The machine was the size of a tractor and ran on treads like a tank. The thing was built out of mismatched, rusting hunks of metal, and it looked as if it would fall apart at any moment. A spinning, spike-covered wheel dominated the front of the death machine.
I didn't miss anything
On top of the
there.
tractor, 3 green-hued humanoid monsters stood, screaming and pointing in my direction. Each of these monsters looked to be about 4 feet tall and were dressed in leathery rags. One appeared to be wearing a kitchen pot on his head. He grunted and screamed as he worked the controls for the tall machine. Black smoke billowed from several pipes. The spinning wheel whirred even faster as the machine righted itself and started barreling toward me. A tooltip popped up. Goblin Murder Dozer Contraption. A goblin-built, steam-powered machine designed to mow down and slaughter unsuspecting dungeon clones.
Oh,
I hope you're up to date with your tetanus shots. 3 more tooltips popped up over the 3 riders. 2 of them read, Goblin, Level 2. Small, green, and smart. What goblins lack in physical strength, they make up for.
you've got to fight your way through the
The third goblin,
levels.
the one with the pot on his head and driving the machine, had a different description. Goblin Engineer, Level 3. Engineers, the incels of
That
the
is
goblin
crazy.
world. They have a hard time finding a date, which makes them extra angry. If there are any females in your party, they will attack them first. I didn't have time to think about the stupidity of the jokes or the fact I was, for the first time, looking upon a group of real, live monsters trying to kill me. I
Trying
rushed down
to
the hallway
kill
and
you.
reached another junction. I could go 3 ways. Forward, right, or left. Right was another half-lit hallway about half as wide as the last.
It's still plenty big enough for the goblins to follow. Left led into a tight, dark hall that'd be way too thin for the bulldozer. The obvious choice would be to flee down the dark hallway. I paused. It was too obvious of a choice. I sensed another trap. I couldn't go straight because the next junction was too far away, and the machine would catch me for sure.
Wow.
I turned right. Donut followed.
In no
stayed by my
pants.
side, which was very un-donut-like behavior. This hall was only as wide as a regular road with a smooth 15-foot ceiling. Green, lichen-like growths glowed at the brick walls and ceilings, giving the
This
tunnel
is
an odd
crazy.
glow. Behind me, the goblins squealed as they struggled to maneuver the murder laser. The thing had a wide turning radius that would take them at least a minute to pursue.
You see what I mean by the excellent world
But just
building?
before the intersection, I spied a single, plain wooden door built into the wall. A simple sign was attached to the wall above the door. The words were painted the same color as the dark red bricks of the wall, and I could barely read it. It read, "Tutorial Guild." The words were in that same odd language. The moment I read the sign, a glowing green box appeared, highlighting the name. New achievement! You've discovered and read an official dungeon sign. Wow! You can read! Whoopee! Reward!
Wow.
All official dungeon signage will now be highlighted and easier to spot. Nearby guilds will appear on your minimap. A minimap? I really needed to figure this out. Behind me, the murder dozer had gotten stuck on the corner, and one of the level 2 goblins was shouting and beating on the bottom
currently
of the engineer with what looked
At
like a stick.
8 minutes.
The
I
third
should
looked
have
at me and
mentioned
shook a fist.
my speed is
Would they follow me into the
1.2.
guild? I didn't know. I
1.2
grasped the
is
brass
my
door
speed.
handle and tried to turn it. It didn't
Hate
open.
that slow
Locked.
drag.
What the hell? I
I
said.
gotta.
I banged on the wooden door. Hey! I called. Is there anybody in there? The two level 2 goblins seemed to give up on waiting for the bulldozer to negotiate the tight turn, and they hopped off and started jogging toward me. They were unarmored, but both wielded what appeared to be wooden sticks with a pineapple on the end of it. They'd catch up in a minute. Next to me, Donut started to growl and hiss. From behind the door, I heard the rattling of chains and turning of locks. The door cracked, only pulling open part way. A single chain remained, keeping the door from opening further. A bearded, rat-like creature appeared in the doorway. I could barely make out his features, but he was about a head shorter than me. So taller than the goblins, but not by much.
What do you want?
As I said,
Mobs ain't allowed in here. You know that.
"Hey, this is a tutorial guild, right? The thing said I'm supposed to go in here." The eye widened.
The thing.
You a crawler? Wait.
The rat creature stepped back as if to get a better look at me. I was immediately reminded of Master Splinter, the rat sensei from Teenage
Right.
Mutant Ninja Turtles.
You are. By his left tit, we opened up and I didn't even notice. I must have slept through the announcement.
Wow.
Let me tell old Mordecai anything. There used to be news there. It was delivered every few seconds, reliable as can be. But then it just stopped. Budget cuts, I'm guessing. They're always cutting corners. Thought we wouldn't open them for another 2 years.
"Hey, let me in!" I interrupted. I turned to face the 2 goblins who jogged to a stop. One
Wow.
moved to my left, the other moved to cut off my retreat. "Open the damn door!" I cried. One of the goblins said something to the rat man behind the door, whose name appeared to be Mordecai. I couldn't understand the goblin language. It was grunts and squeaks. Mordecai responded in the goblin language. They both laughed.
Sorry, crawler. You took too long.
Mordecai said through the chained door.
What?
I can't open up if there are mobs directly outside. Rules are rules.
"I took too long," I said. I moved to a fighting stance. One of the goblins fainted, swinging at me with his club. The pineapple at the end of the club fell off when he swung it, and it hit the ground with a splat. The goblin cursed and kicked it away. I took a step back. Donut stood between my legs, hissing and spitting. "At least tell me how to open these damn loot boxes!" Mordecai was silent for a moment, as if he was contemplating on whether or not to tell me.
It's in the awards and boxes tab of your inventory menu.
The rat man said.
You can't access it, you kid.
"How do I get access to the inventory menu then?" The second goblin,
Not the
one still
rat
had a
man.
pineapple on the end of his stick, swung at me, missing by a wide margin. Up close, the goblins looked much like they did in movies and video games. Short, green, mostly bald, pointed ears, angular faces, sharp teeth. I briefly wondered on that. It seemed the aliens, whatever, knew a whole lot about Earth mythology and lore. Far behind him, the murder dozer had finally backed up properly and had straightened out. It rumbles down the hallway toward us.
Yeah, you gotta complete it.
The pineapple goblin swung at me again. I waited until the club passed the apex of its arc and stepped in. I hit the goblin square in the nose with a jab and then a left hook to its right temple. It crumpled to the ground in a heap. A bar
Carl is
appeared over
not the
creature's head
one,
the moment I
okay?
hit it.
He's not going down without a fight.
It hadn't appeared until it took damage. The bar went down more than halfway, turning from green to red. The goblin had more than half of its life left. I clocked it pretty good. Not that good. Like I just punched a 10-year-old. The second goblin looked at his friend, open-mouthed, and then turned and ran back toward the dozer. My fists ached. I hadn't been in an actual physical fight in years. Most of my times in post-fighting were to cut as an MK, a technician. I was never involved face-to-face with any sort of real law enforcement.
Right.
That said,
to mix
most
it up.
people I encountered who'd never been in the service
my
didn't
get
realize they
down?
were trained as much as we did. People thought of us as
We
glorified
just passed the
weapons.
3-minute mark.
No idea how much
Then
we
we'll
trained
talk about
in
chapter
hand-to-hand
2.
combat. How the hell do I do that if you don't open the door? I yelled as I kicked the downed goblin in the ribs. I felt a satisfying crunch. Can't you just let me have access now?
It doesn't work that way, kid.
How does it work?
You can't just have untrained crawlers wandering around the dungeon, you know. Besides, you can't open boxes unless you're in a safe zone. Unless you're a complete idiot, you can probably guess you're not in a safe zone right now.
The goblin's health bar had moved deeper into the red, but he wasn't dead yet. A distant part of me seemed horrified that I was planning on killing this thing. Despite his weapon, he was incredibly easy to
Kill or
hit.
be killed.
But one glance up at the bulldozer, which had stopped to pick up the second goblin, relieved me of any potential regret. I put my hands on either side of the unconscious goblin's head and I smashed down on the stones. I smashed down again and again until the health bar completely drained away.
Hey! Hey, stop!
Whose side are you on anyway? I asked, whirling on the creature. But then I realized the rat wasn't talking to me.
You can't come in here.
He said, his back now turned. Don't. He was talking to the goddamn cat. She had decided she'd had enough of this hallway and wandered into the guild through the cracked door.
Wow.
A whole wall
He was talking to the cat.
Notifications appeared, along with a couple other new notifications. But instead of auto-playing like
Kitty,
it did before,
You
appeared
have a
as little messages
conversation
in
with
the upper
Dungeon
left of my
Master.
screen. I sensed I could mentally click on them, but not
Yes,
now.
there's a cat
Yeah,
right there.
I was running the circus seemed to know that right now
No,
was
it's
not
not
an
gonna
opportune
come
time
over
to cover up half my line of sight with game portion. Not with the real danger of barreling down. Open the fucking door! I cried.
Kid, get your creature.
Mordecai said,
Get
turning
your
toward me,
creature.
a strange hint of panic in my face.
I'll get in trouble if they find out I let a crawler sneak into his rooms.
Open the door! I repeated. Look, it's clear, but it won't be in about 5 seconds. Let me in! The door slammed, the glass chain rustled, and then it opened all the way. I rushed inside just as the murder dozer barreled by, rolling directly over the bloody corpse of their friend. The brakes screamed, but the dozer continued its forward momentum, sliding on the body as it smeared down the hallway. The two goblins turned and met my eyes as I flipped them both off. They squealed in rage as I slammed the door.
Okay, we're going to stop there and talk about chapter 2. So we are at the point where it seems like, and this is a big jump for me in this book, because he instantly knew from being in his real world situation to being on this ship. And I guess he had a better understanding of the information that came his way when the words were floating, that he was going into a game that he had to survive. Because in reading the meters that were on the monsters that were trying to kill him before he made it through to the next level, who knew that was going to be a thing that you had to deal with? You also have this sarcastic game narrator. This game narrator has no fucks to give. It is only telling you the way it is, how it is, and its personal observation, which, let's face it, you could live without. So what we are now dealing with is they've already ascended to the first level. Donut, who is now Princess Donut, named as she has come into this ship, is not freaking out as bad as she was when she was outside and things were falling apart. I think she knew to run in there and get with the rat man, as he calls him, Mordecai. so that the door could be opened to save Carl. So let's get back in. We're going into chapter 3. That's the last chapter, and then we're going to wrap it up, and then we'll talk about how to continue and things like that. So, are you ready? Synchronize for chapter 3. Sorry, I'm not ready yet. In 5, 4, 3.
Chapter 3.
See,
The moment the door closed,
I'm on it.
a notification appeared.
Tutorial Guildhall. This is a safe zone. Warning. Level timers are still active.
Yeah, I shouldn't have let you in.
Mordecai
Right.
said, wringing his furry hands. I examined his right feature.
Furry
He
hand.
wore a black vest and blue pants. He had a pair of well-worn sandals on his feet. An info box popped up. Mordecai, Rat Hooligan, level 50. Guild Master of this guild. This is a non-combatant.
He's a
NPC.
guild master.
Hooligans are the smartest, fastest, and ugliest of the rat game race. Though I'm not as roided out as a rat ghost, or as I'm a fireball yo ass as a rat shaman, rat hooligans offer the best of both worlds. They are physically strong, and they have a decent grasp of magic.
Awesome. Just what you need, right?
The screech of the goblin machine.
How do you know that this is
I
useful
mentally clicked
information?
on the first of several information boxes clear in my vision.
Error. You may not access this until you...
All the boxes disappeared, swooping away into a single folder item with a flare glitch. I stood in a wide room about the size of a classroom. Fireplace and bed dominated one side of the room. Several shelves dotted the walls on the left half of the room, filled with random objects and a few framed photographs of bird-like creatures. The other half of the room was nothing but a well-worn and oval-shaped gray carpet and an empty desk. A half-dozen classroom-style chairs lay scattered about. I turned back to the computer. Is this the only way out of here? I asked.
What?
Mordecai asked. The rat wasn't paying attention to me. He was focused on the cat.
Right.
Yo, Morty. Is this
Mortal
the
enemies,
only
they
exit?
are.
It's Mordecai. And yes, of course.
Are those green assholes going to still be waiting for me when I get out of here? Donut jumped up on the high shelf and knocked a vase over.
Ooh.
Ash spilled out.
No,
Mordecai cried, running to the shelf, shooing the cat away. He reached up for the shelf, but he couldn't reach it.
damn this body.
He turned back to me.
Can you just grab that thing
Interesting
for me?
phrase.
Get him out of here.
Mordecai, sneeze.
Yeah. I think I might be allergic.
I didn't think he was sneezing because of the cat, but because of the gray cloud of dust that had formed around the spilled ash. Holy shit, man, I said. Be careful, I warned myself. He doesn't seem too tough, but he's level 50. That's gotta mean he's a powerful bastard. Can you help me? Are they going to wait for me or not?
Yes. No. Probably. But it's
Oh
coming.
no.
One might wait, but one will definitely go back to her clan and call him. You smashed that poor goblin's head right in. Within an hour, the whole
So he
family
gonna
will be in
tell. In other
Across
words,
the room, Donut discovered
you
the
left a
fireplace.
snitch
Right.
to run back and tell the
The cat
truth.
sat in front of it, lifted her leg.
Gang rules state. You gotta shut the whole
Okay.
thing down. Otherwise,
Don't
somebody
you
go get you
dare
caught
lock
up.
this door. Grasped the handle and went back outside. I barely had time to hear the
I
rat
keep
say,
up with this
You're
game.
tracking my mother's ashes all over.
before I slammed the door. The goblin tractor had overshot the doorway by about 10 meters and was in the middle of a wide turn, trying to come back to the tunnel. The engineer had driven the tractor right into the wall. The spinning wheel sparked as the spikes shredded against the
Oh,
stone.
that's not
The
good.
dead goblin remained smeared over the tiles. The corpse looked more like a party-sized sausage being cut to pieces and run over the tiles.
I don't need that
Both of the
association.
remaining goblins had their backs turned to me. I sprinted toward the door. The murder dozer had a small ladder in the back. It looked as if it was made of bones tied with rope. One of the goblins would turn at any moment. I had to get them now. If one of them got away and warned the other members of its clan or whatever, I'd be
Right.
screwed. I needed the support.
Gang
only had
rules
one choice.
dictate.
The jagged bones of the ladder ripped into my bare feet as I pulled myself up. I stifled a cry. I jumped onto the top of the metallic, lurid contraption. The murder dozer screamed so loudly that neither had noticed me. The whole top of the machine was nothing but a fur-lined, recessed hole with benches running beneath. Despite the fur, the ground was hot on my feet, almost burning. It smelled of scorched tar and animal musk. The
Ow.
machine could probably carry about 15 or so goblins.
Carl
not
is having
including
a
the driver,
hard time.
who had a seat up front. A dozen levers and spigots and vibrating handles
But who
extended from the
knew?
floor in the cockpit area.
I mean,
The
why think
controls
it
all
would be
vibrated
easy?
and bounced up and down. The pan-wearing goblin sat in the seat, screaming and grunting something as he twisted and turned and pulled on
They're
levers.
murder goblins.
Smoke billowed and steam hissed from multiple pipes. The whole machine vibrated like a boiler about to blow. The smooth, rocky ceiling of this tunnel was much lower than the long main hallway leading off the stairs, but I stood to my full height. I could reach up and touch it. Barely. It still amazed me, the idea of an entire world made up of these hallways and paths. I rushed forward and grasped onto the regular goblin, who still clutched his pineapple-less stick in his hand. The creature barely weighed anything, surprising me. I picked him up as he grunted in surprise. He unsuccessfully attempted to hit me with his stick. With all my strength, I threw the goblin forward. He rocketed out of the passenger area of the dozer. The screaming monster sailed directly over the head of the engineer, who was only now starting to react. The flying goblin crashed onto the tunnel wall and bounced back, landing directly onto the spinning front blades. A spray of red showered over the both of us. The final goblin snarled, and quick as a whip pulled a small curved blade from a sheet on his side. He jumped
Now
in
I
his
got to
chair,
cut you.
rushed at me. Oh, fuck. The monster moved
Right?
much more quickly than I anticipated, surprising me. I had to remember this was a different class than the last two, and he was a level higher, 2 levels higher than myself.
Do you
This
see
was a
how
dumb
he's
idea.
retaining so
It
much of
wasn't
this
what he always
information?
said. You just jump headlong into things without thinking it through. I kicked at the goblin with my bare foot. With nobody at the controls, the tractor continued to whine and shred at the dungeon wall. The vibrations got worse by the moment. Soon the whole thing was bucking like a washing machine with a rock inside it. The goblin was yelling something at me in its guttural language. "You're in my world now," I yelled back at him. "You need to speak my language, you weird green piece of shit."
Uh-oh.
To my surprise, the goblin grinned. I could tell he understood me. The little monster switched the knife back and forth between hands.
You're not speaking your language.
He said,
You're speaking Syndicate Standard, you idiot slave. They programmed it into your brain.
Syndicate
Do you
standard.
really think you'll survive?
The goblin never finished the sentence. As he was distracted with his own soliloquy, I leaped forward, snatched the pot off his head, and clobbered him with it. Sharp little teeth went flying. The goblin stumbled. I smacked him again. He careened off the side of the tractor. His health bar appeared after I had smacked him the first time, but it was still well in the green. He splattered to the ground, groaning. His knife went flying. I peered over the edge. The goblin lay on his back. The tractor continued to spin and buck. It was edging in the opposite direction. The goblin's health was still 3/4 full, but he'd had the wind knocked out of him. The goblin started to sit up, and I threw the pot at him. To my utter astonishment, I clobbered him right in the forehead. He
Ooh,
cried out, his hands reaching to grasp the new wound.
kablooey.
I gauged the distance. It wasn't very far, like maybe 7, 8 feet. I'd done that plenty of times as a kid. What the hell? I jumped off the murder dozer, aiming both feet toward the chest and stomach of the still recovering goblin.
Wow.
Not sure if I mentioned this.
This got dangerous quick.
I stand 6 foot 3 inches tall. I weigh about 230 pounds. And while I wasn't in nearly as good shape as I was while I was on active duty, I've been hitting the gym 3 times a week for years, building my muscle mass. I'd always been blessed with one of those bodies that naturally grows. My dad was a linebacker. Well, even my mom was 5'10". And her dad played center for Oregon State before becoming a prison guard. So, what I'm getting at is that I'm a large dude.
It's a
I have a
large
lot of
dude.
bulk.
Got it.
The goblin was small, and he did not have hardly any mass at all. The effect of me jumping onto him from high above was like someone smashing a fat jelly donut with a sledgehammer. The
Oh,
little dude didn't have a chance. Goo squirted out of the goblin from every orifice. The
oh.
murder dozer started to whine even louder. I looked down at what I'd done, and I suddenly felt sick to my stomach. More notifications appeared on my screen. A tooltip popped up, appearing in my peripheral vision. I turned to look.
Goblin murder dozer. Boiler breach imminent.
The countdown timer appeared
Boiler
below the
breach
text.
imminent.
It was at 12 seconds and counting down. Son of a bitch. It's gonna blow. I turned back toward the room, a mere 30 meters down the hall. Was that too close? I didn't have time to think about it. I ran, slipping and sliding on the
explode?
tiles as I booked it back to the room.
Okay,
I ripped open the
readers,
door
we're
and
at
jumped
7
inside. I
minutes.
slammed the door and braced for impact.
Speed
Bam! The
1.2.
world shook. The door bucked, throwing me forward onto the floor of the guild hall. My ears rang, but the door held, and I didn't seem to be otherwise injured. Donut was in the corner of the room, lift up and hissing.
What the bloody hell did you do, kid?
Mordecai asked, looking over me at the door.
That tape is capable of holding back a kinetic strike from a Star Destroyer. I've never seen anything shake it that much.
Look, I said, sitting up. My ears continued to ring. That goblin bulldozer thing got stuck against the wall, and then it blew up. Mordecai nodded slowly.
The local shaman probably enchanted it in case it ever exploded. It would have focused the energy from the blast at the closest non-goblin. You're lucky you were behind that door. The focused explosion, even a small one, has a lot more energy than you might think.
Apparently.
Having decided the commotion was over, Donut left the corner and returned to her spot in front of the fire. Her normally poofy exterior remained extra puffed up, and her tail swished up and down. I could tell the cat was pissed off.
Your creature cracked my mother's ashes.
Mordecai said, shaking his head.
This is so not worth it. Not worth it at all.
So, Mr. Train Guild, I said, leaning against the wall. My feet ached. My heart continued to thrash in my chest. I was covered in goblin blood. It felt as if I had raw hamburger meat stuck between my toes.
I don't need this.
I need to get
No.
shoes and pants. What the hell is going on? What's with the dungeon? Is everyone really dead? How do I work this shit? A million other
Right,
questions.
a million other
I knew he
questions.
could probably snap and break me in half. But I had an overwhelming urge to grab the rat man by his stupid vest and shake him until all the answers tumbled out of him. Also, who the hell are you? Why are you here? What's really? Mordecai held up his hands.
Okay, slow down.
Slow it down, Chi.
I know you're confused. I've been in your position. All will be explained. That's why I'm here. But before I start, I need to explain something to you two.
Okay.
The rat looked over at the
I'm
cat,
all for it.
who
Bring it.
glared back at him.
My name is Mordecai, and I am what's called a non-combatant NPC. I'm like you.
Okay.
I'm a person whose world was displaced.
NPC.
This was
Non-player.
many solars ago.
I don't
I
know.
was a dungeon
Gamer
crawler
lingo.
just like you. I made it all the way down. to
Non-player
410,
character.
And I knew I would never make it any further than that. Once you
think I
descend
got
to
it.
410, you're given several options to exit the dungeon. The deeper you go, the better those options are.
He walked over to the shelf with the upset vase,
Deeper you
and
go,
he
the
picked
better
up a
the
framed
options
photo
are.
of one of the bird creatures.
The
He handed
higher
it to
your
me.
level, the
It
less
looked
dangerous.
remarkably like a normal framed photo, but the material was
Be
peculiar,
nice.
and the photo was cut oddly, oval-shaped with the corners lopped off.
That's what I really look like. This is a photo of my brother. I was born a skyfowl, and I became a changeling when I reached floor 3 of the dungeon. I switched form every time my guild hall was moved. When the dungeon first
Interesting.
opens, I worked in a guild such as this. Later on, the third floor collapses. My room here is transported to a much deeper level. My form is changed again. I spend most of my time working a magic guild, which is a place one can go to pick spells and friends if they've chosen a magic-based path. Now, over the years, I've only had a handful of people actually make it that far. Most crawlers don't make it past the 10th floor.
Wow.
So, a changeling is a shapeshifter? I examined the picture. I couldn't tell if it was a photograph.
Most
or a
crawlers
painting or
don't make
something
it
else.
past 10.
The eyes of the image seemed to bore into him. It was a golden eagle-like creature. Wings, angel-like, were folded on its back.
Yes. They recreated my home for me, including all my possessions when I decided to do I had but a few moments to grab anything I wanted before they attacked me all. Now, every time I move to a new world, they change my shape. It's something different every time. It's always a type of mob from the front floor.
2 minutes
I don't know why.
till the end of the chapter.
Well, I don't believe any of this. So, you're aliens? You're all from a different world?
All from different
How's
worlds.
the game or whatever know how we talk? Some of those last notifications mentions Jean-Claude Van Damme and incels and steroids. Mordecai nodded.
You're getting ahead of yourself. Each dungeon is specially built for the world it inhabits, and they spend a lot of time.
Interesting.
A lot of time making sure the locals understand the game and the notifications. We go for authenticity. I'm not really supposed to tell you any of this stuff, but I figure if you're going to be stumbling around out there, you need to know what's happening.
I still don't know what's happening, I said, frustration rising further. Mordecai shook his head.
You humans are all the same. This is the 7th or 8th human seeded world, and it's always the same. You always want to know why. Why can't you just accept your
7th or
circumstances
8th
and move on?
Human
My
seizure
people,
world.
Skyfowls, we generally last much longer than you humans. You
There's
know
a lot of
why?
information in that
Because we
statement.
roll with it.
I didn't say anything for several moments. There was a lot to parse there.
Yeah.
Human-seeded world? Did that mean that conspiracy spouting asshole on TV with the crazy hair was correct? That humans weren't unique, but a prop left to grow unattended until this? Mordecai saw my side.
Okay. I'll give you the quick version.
He said. He pulled his seat, snapped down. He gestured to another chair situated in the center of the round corner.
You might as well.
All right. We have come to the end of chapter 3 and pretty much where we're going to stop in our book journey of Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman. Now, chapter 3 has given you some idea of what the gameplay is going to look like and how Mordecai, who is an NPC, is there to provide information. That's why he's in the Information Guild. What is fascinating about this is how quickly you have to adapt to how the game is going to move. Because as he said, the game has done extensive research, not just the minerals of your world, but elements of understanding of what you can relate to per se into this dungeon building. They painstakingly laid this out so that as you move through, you have some modicum of relatability or understanding. At least that's what I'm getting so far. There's a lot to unpack here. I would love to go on this journey with you. So if you have the book, this is where I'm going to tap out. You can go much further. Please, 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 I encourage you to do so. Because when we start book 2 and I do those 3 chapters, I'm going to be doing a wrap up of book 1. So there will be spoilers, there will be information that I'm going to provide so that making our way into book 2 makes sense. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that you enjoyed this book and the many others that we're going to put here. There are so many series that I want us to journey on. I'm glad you're here to journey with me. We're going to have a great time. I'll see you at the next book meeting.